Bungie, the people behind Halo and most recently Destiny, have revealed their new game, Marathon. You've probably seen a lot of conversation about it online. I have a lot to say about it as well, with the added little sprinkle that I have played it. I've played quite a bit of this game. I got to go to Bungie and play it. I did not take like a free trip or anything. We paid our own way to get there. I could say whatever I want. And like I said, there's already a lot of discussion out there already. Some people have probably already made up their minds about this, but I figured I'd at least provide the information, some observations I had with playing it, and then also how I feel about the whole thing overall. So it seems like Bungie is really doubling down on making an extraction shooter for the mainstream with a little bit of Bungie flair to it. The Bungie flair being that it plays well. It's fun. I actually had a good time playing it. It is a zippy, snappy first-person shooter with an interesting new style that's definitely like not for everybody, but I kind of like how they leaned into it. These bold colors, blockier texture, like blockier objects and things like that. So essentially, yeah, just going back to refocusing, an extraction shooter that's a little bit easier to get into. You go with trios. It's you and two other people going around looking for loot, fighting AI enemies, and also occasionally encountering real enemies, maybe stealing some of their loot, trying not to die, and then getting out and extracting with all the loot and stuff you grabbed along the way. It's not like Tarkov where you can get hit with like a fucking bullet from like a mile away. You don't know what the hell happened. You don't know what's going on. Here you can be down. You can hope that a companion revives you. And ultimately, I had fun going through this. My whole big thing, and I said this on the Friends Per Second podcast as well, I feel like something's missing. It's got a little bit something to it that I just can't quite put my finger on, but it just doesn't have some sort of sauce with it. But everything else around it, the package, the flashy visuals, the cool cinematic pre-rendered shit, the vibes, all that's really there. But playing it moment to moment, it's got some ups and downs. The actual things you're doing, I didn't find really that interesting. The ways you can acquire some extra loot, I didn't really find too engaging. And the maps themselves, the two of which I experienced, I didn't really find them very interesting. I actually found them a little drab and kind of not as cool as the rest of the art style and the character designs and all that stuff suggests. The loot itself, I had a couple of exciting weapons and a couple of little like mods I could essentially equip to my character to make my character a little bit more interesting. Some of that stuff works well, but I didn't quite see or really feel the real true sweaty tension and addictive loop that can come from these extraction shooter games. Now, I am not an extraction shooter player, and I have seen a lot of commentary out there from extraction shooter players that have very different opinions on this type of thing. So I'm only coming at it as like a regular casual player or shooter. So even still, this game didn't like convince me of the wonders of the extraction shooter genre, something I haven't really ever gotten into. But it seems like the people at Bungie are really excited about this genre, and that's why they're doing this. The thing that still remains for me is like the why Marathon? Why use the old IP, the classic game series, to make this thing? Is it because IP is what they need right now? IP sells, existing IP is what everybody has to mine? Or is there some other hook, something interesting that we haven't seen yet? Because Marathon could bring an interesting sci-fi spin to it. What we have seen here with like the character styles and the fact that you're these runners and you're going down and you're getting stuff, it is all like from hearing it from Bungie, loosely connected to the original Marathon games, but it still feels distinctly kind of like its own thing. But like I guess it has to be revealed, but like I don't see the why of bringing Marathon back for this specifically. Then I also don't see the why of essentially why I would want to play this endlessly. Why I would want to buy Marathon, something that is essentially going to be a sort of early access thing that you buy into, and according to the developers, a game that evolves with the community and becomes something at some point and slowly tells a story maybe over time. Like I don't really get the why I would keep coming back to that yet. And I say that as someone who, like I said, I also had fun playing it. But I guess not enough fun where I want to see where this goes, what this world is, and I want to play this forever. And I don't know. That again, I only played the alpha. I only played like a work in progress version of the game. Things can change and things can evolve over time. That seems to be the whole plan here. But like out the gate, seeing it firsthand, I'm not quite hooked. It is not all bad though. Like I said, like actually playing it, the shooting feels good. The character abilities are small, simple, accessible, but interesting. And it seems like they can be built upon a little bit. Glitch runs faster, can do a double jump. Someone I was playing with found a piece of loot that they can equip to the character that then gives them an additional jump, changing things up a little bit. Being able to go invisible is something that I found a lot of fun and I would take advantage of. When I was with my crew, I'd be the guy saying, okay, I'm going to go invisible and try and flank them. They're not like complex abilities. They're not even like Guardian archetype abilities from something like Destiny. They're much simpler, but they add a little bit of interesting flair to the encounters. And the enemy AI, like the NPC AI, the bot AI, I found really good, really challenging. There are, plenty of expendable mobs that you can just blast away at, yes, but you can also very easily get smoked. And I like that. I like the idea of walking around this big extraction map, not only being paranoid about getting domed by a real player, but just as equally getting domed by a bot. I've seen bots like from long range snipe really well. I've seen us ambush a group of them and they all scatter to cover. I've seen them climb up ladders, take higher positioning, go for the higher ground, shoot down at us. I was really, really impressed with the AI bot work here. And I think that's cool because it makes for like interesting moment to moment playing. It's not just kind of like bumbling around until you see a real person. What they've essentially kind of done is blur the line, the perceptibility, between an enemy NPC AI and player character, where you'll be blasted away from things and suddenly one of your friends will be like, oh shit, oh, real person here, there's a real person here, and then you have that moment of panic and regrouping and changing your strategies, and I like that. And then I'll pivot to also what I liked is, the moment-to-moment encounters with other players. That's when things get a little sweaty, and I found it really, really interesting and really good. And also with them adding kind of like the downed, and being able to be revived to this type of game led to a lot of moments where I was Sniper Wolf aiming at Meryl, essentially, who was out for the count, while the other, I downed somebody and I'm waiting for all the other players to try and help them. And those moments were pretty cool. Weapon feel is good. The melee is good. You can at any point, drop your weapons, which when you unequip them, you can run a little faster. But you can also take out a knife, stab dudes, do the whole thing. You can kill people when they're down to get a cool stabbing animation. But the guns were decent. Some of them, because it's like this weird futuristic thing, some of them look like Minecraft guns. Like they look like 3D printed guns. I found that kind of interesting. None of them had the whoa, holy shit of something like a Destiny weapon. But again, I'm picking up early loot, it felt like, but a decent sniper rifle, a solid railgun, a pistol, and all these weapon attachments and stuff that you can add that actually make the weapon feel different. I did see examples of having a pistol and being able to put a scope on that pistol for a classic feel. Stuff like that does seem good. I'm at the point in the video where I said enough good things about the game that people are like, Jake, why are you shilling for this game? Well, to butter your biscuit right there, like I said, I don't know about this one. I think specifically because, like I said, there's a little something missing there that I can't quite put my finger on it. But I also think the threshold is getting lower and lower, like player tolerance, essentially. And I say that as me, as a consumer, buying a game and waiting for it to become something, There are plenty of early access games out there, plenty of other things out there. It's not even essentially about the game not being free to play. I know a lot of people are saying that this game should not launch with a price. Yeah, okay, definitely. I can see that. And I can see plenty of other games that release with this style that release free with free to play shit in it. Okay, whatever. But I don't have time for another game to get good or develop over time. It was different with even things like the original Destiny. It was trying something completely different. It was building out this whole new model that did change the industry in a lot of ways, whether you like it or not. But here, it's got stuff that we've seen in different games. It does have a little bit of a Bungie vibe to it in the art style and the story and stuff like that, or what might be a story. But it's still being put together. I almost said cobbled together because it does feel like they're still at the point where it's like, oh, well, we have concepts of a plan, and like, yeah, we have the 3 maps and then like another map soon after launch and 6 characters, but like it's kind of just like they've been pivoting and going with the flow. And like on the one hand, it's good that they're upfront about how they've been reworking and trying this game in different ways to get it right, but on the other hand, it also results in something that just feels kind of like cherry picked all these different weird elements and something isn't quite coming together right. And because of that, and coupled with the fact that like it's not finished, it's a game that's going to evolve. It's going to be something that you jump into and you like things and you don't like things and you provide feedback. I essentially don't feel the need to buy into that dream. I think some people will. I honestly think some people will. I think there's a lot of Bungie goodwill out there. I think a lot of Destiny players and maybe extraction shooter enjoyers might find some interest here. So that's why I don't really agree with people saying it's just Concord, like writing it off like, it's just Concord. It's going to be dead in the water. I don't know what the future holds, but I think, at the very least, I think this will find some sort of audience. That audience, I could be totally upfront, probably not me. Because, yes, no, I'm open to trying an accessible extraction shooter with Bungie flair. Absolutely, yes. But I'm just not here, once again, for like the ongoing evolving thing. They've done it before. Like I said, Destiny evolved into something that felt cohesive, felt like it had direction, it had vision, and it engaged with player feedback. But here, I don't know. This time around, I'm good, man. There are plenty of other things I can jump into. I'm glad people are going to be able to try it for themselves. I'm glad that they're doing like an alpha and stuff like that. But this game isn't too far off. This game is releasing in September, and it feels like it's coming in hot. Again, I played a work in progress version, but just overall, literally hearing from the developers. I interviewed the game director on Friends Per Second. It still just seems like it's all coming together at the finish line, and really it's going to finish coming together after it's past the finish line. And I just really wonder, especially when they're asking for money. We don't know how much the game is going to cost yet, but they did confirm it's not free to play. It's going to be like a paid title thing. So you're going to have that. You're inevitably probably going to have some other types of monetization and microtransactions. And I don't know how it's all going to land, how it's all gonna hit. It seems like the developers are like kind of into the thing where it's like you buy into it and then content's gonna keep getting added. That's great. I expect more of like a skin ecosystem for monetization or whatever, but I'm a little bit more into like a game proving itself and then you buy into it. Something like a Helldivers even, right? Where you stumble into it and you're like, holy shit, this is awesome. And I'm going to stick with it to see what else they added. Helldivers didn't release with this whole big, like, oh, you know, it's a work in progress, and like, we're only going to have some stuff, and you're going to like buy in, blah, 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 blah. That messaging, I don't know. It's different here. So again, it's probably coming down to my bias or my patience, my tolerance as a player. If I buy into something that's going to evolve over time and change and starts out simple and threadbare, but eventually becomes something cooler, I got to really buy into that concept on the ground floor. And here, I just don't. Maybe you will. Maybe you like extraction shooters and you like Bungie or modern Bungie. Me, I don't know yet. The thing I am keeping an eye on is like what they actually do with the marathon lore. I think that could potentially be interesting. And this 4th map that they're talking about going live, you know, after the game launches, sounds like it could do some interesting things. And that could be the ace in the hole, the ace up their sleeve, whatever. But we don't know yet. We're talking about ifs and buts and after a game releases. Well, like I said, like the art style, the characters, the colors, all that stuff is, you know, divisive. You're either going to like that or you're not going to like that. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty interesting. And I think like they have this expensive CGI short film, the menus, the presentation, like when you jump into the game, all that stuff is really cool, but it actually doesn't feel completely fully realized in the game moment to moment yet. Like, I want to know more about why these runners are doing these things and more about this world and stuff like that, but I also don't want to like buy in at $30 or $40 and hope it gets revealed to me later on in grimoire cards or YouTube videos, you know? So again, it's another thing where it's all just quite not, all the pieces are quite gelling for me. And I think it's important to talk about it and hash that out like that because the game was revealed. some Bungie fans are like, hell yeah, this is cool, man. And some people were like, this is Concord, this is trash day one. And I just think there's more nuance to that. I think what will be interesting to see is can Bungie's skill at just making good shooting, good explosions, good feedback, cool weapons, and the goodwill behind them, is that enough to carry them through what might be like a rocky launch or a little bit of a rough launch? Because Destiny 1 launched rough. The mess. It was like, what is this game? Can they do that again? And are enough players willing and patient enough to show up once again? That's it, really. That's what remains to be seen. And with any game like this, like, I want to be totally honest, like, I want to be wrong. I want to look back a year from now at me being skeptical and be like, wow, what an asshole. This game turned out to be incredible. I always root for like another good game in the universe, even if it has to go through some stuff. But with this one, I don't know. This was definitely like a stream of consciousness video. Like, I'm just like yapping my thoughts. Like I said, fun, but I don't know. So with that, I would like to know what you think. If you have any other questions for me, like gameplay wise, like me actually having my hands on the game, let me know. If you watch gameplay videos, I'd say it's pretty much what you expect. Like, it plays like how it looks. There's nothing too insane or hidden there. It's pretty straightforward. But if you have any gameplay questions, let me know. I'll try and answer what I can as a novice. But I'm sure plenty of you also have thoughts about just like how the game is releasing, the fact that it is going to cost money. Let's talk about that stuff. Let's talk down in the comments. Interesting conversation to be had, productive conversation to be had. Like I said, if you're just like game trash, woke, hate it, that doesn't really, there's no conversation there. So I want to know what some of you guys are thinking here. And also, I know you're out there. I don't know if you guys watch me, but like, if you're a hardcore extraction shooter player, right? You're playing some of those games. What do you think of this? I really genuinely want to know. If you followed the coverage and you got more ins and outs and details and stuff in some other videos out there, I'd like to know what your temperature is. If you're someone that's hooked in that tension, that butthole clenching of an extraction shooter, where are you at? Is Bungie saying the right things, telegraphing the right things to you? Or not? Or are they trying to get like a more casual version of you? Let's talk about anything, Marathon, down in the comments. Definitely want to hear from you. If you want to hear more in-depth thoughts, like our first reactions, I will link the Friends Per Second podcast, the video I do with my friends Lisa James, Skill Up. We have a lot more to say about it. We also interview the game director, Joe Ziegler, and tried to get what we could out of him. So let me know. Let's talk. Anything at all. Thank you for listening to me ramble about this game that I played like a work in progress of. If you like this, it's second preview video in a row, actually. Hands-on, Switch, and now this. I don't do previews all the time, only when I think there's something interesting to talk about. But like, if you get what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to talk about stuff I like, mostly. Clicking the like button helps me. Thank you. And if you're new, thanks for coming around. Not all my videos are this like, cynical or anything like that. But yeah, just thanks for being here. I'm Jake Baldino. Subscribe because video games, pizza's on me. See ya.